everyone. I'm Kate Melgoza. I'm the associate editor at Daily Clout, and today I have Mr. Stevan Looney with us, who is part of our volunteers effort for the Pfizer documents. Mr. Looney is a civil trial appellate attorney with over 42 years of experience, concentrating on complex matters. He's licensed in New Mexico and practices in all of its courts, as well as United States District Court for the District of New Mexico, the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals, and the U.S. Tax Court and the U.S. Supreme Court. Mr. Looney also served in the U.S. Army as an infantryman from 1970 to 1972, assigned to the 82nd Airborne Division. Welcome, Mr. Looney. Thank you for coming.
Well, thank you, Kate. Happy to be here. Appreciate the opportunity to speak to everybody.
Awesome. So you recently published an article titled Secret Documents, How Pfizer Covered Up a Flood of Adverse Events about the revelation of Pfizer internal documents. What did you find in that article?
Well, there were two articles I did. The one I think you're referring to might be the most recent one. There was one I did about a few days or so before that. And in the first article, if I could go by that, I think it was April 1st, I was looking at some disclosures that Pfizer had provided to the FDA, and then the FDA had produced publicly pursuant to a federal court order. And in those disclosures, there was a number of documents, but one document in particular that was titled Cumulative Analysis of Post-Authorization Adverse Event Reports, et cetera, concerning this EUA, Emergency Youth, I knew I was going to do this, Emergency Use Authorization, so-called vaccine. So in that report, there, near the end, there's an Appendix 1, and in that appendix, there is nearly 1,000 special adverse events of special interest, is how they titled that. And I said, wow, that's a lot. And I recalled having seen other disclosures by Pfizer, which were nowhere near nearly 1,000. They were like 20, 15, or 20, and relatively, for lack of a better word, innocuous things. Pain at the injection site, vomiting, nausea, sleeplessness, things that you might typically expect from a vaccine. So I went back and I found and dug up those other disclosures that I had seen, one of which was an exhibit in a federal lawsuit in Texas by some employees, healthcare providers for, I believe it was a Methodist hospital, a particular Methodist hospital. They brought an action in federal court to seek an injunction against their employer, so they did not have to take these injections. And in that lawsuit, the judge ruled against the plaintiffs, by the way, but in that lawsuit, there was an exhibit. That exhibit was disclosures by Pfizer about adverse effects. And they were just, like I said, 15 of them, 20, maybe at the most, relatively nominal, innocuous things. So it got me thinking. I said, well, I'm going to look to see, and that was in December of 2020, I believe. I might have the dates wrong, but it's in the article, working from memory here. So I said, well, what has Pfizer done since then, in addition to this Appendix 1, which was not disclosed publicly, as far as I can tell. It was disclosed to the FDA, but not to the public. So I went on the Pfizer website and the Moderna website, and I looked for more information about what are these big pharma companies disclosing to the public. And I found that, speaking of Pfizer now, I found that as to Pfizer, their subsequent disclosures were still the same thing, except they had now added myocarditis and pericarditis, if I'm pronouncing that right. And those are heart-related conditions. They had added those two things in a subsequent disclosure. So I just said, well, wait a minute now, what are they doing? They're publicly saying to people who they're promoting that they take this product that they call a vaccine. They're telling them, the public, these are the few things that you might expect if you take this product, if you have your children take this product. That's what they said publicly. And then, but privately, with respect to the regulatory agencies, there's a whole list. As of February 28th, 2020, there was a whole list of about 1,000 adverse events of special interest. Very serious looking things. I'm not a medical doctor, but I believe many of the doctors that have looked at this would agree that these are fairly serious events. So I'm thinking, okay, as a lawyer looking at potential fraud. You look for what is the speaker, what is the person saying publicly, and what are they saying privately, amongst themselves, what's not being disclosed, that should be disclosed, that they have a duty to disclose. And so that's what I did that first article that I appreciate Eddie Clout posting that. That was the one of April 1st, titled Pfizer's Adverse Events Disclosures Public or Confidential.
Right.
And so if anybody looks at that, they'll get a good idea, I hope, if I've done it right, of what they were told and why they perhaps chose to take this product if they did. And would they have taken this product had they known about these other nearly 1,000 serious or special interest adverse events? So that was what I did there. I hope I'm answering your question. And then there was a subsequent one I did that I appreciate Daily Cloud also publishing. April 4th, I believe it is, when Pfizer came out and the FDA released its subsequent batch or tranche of documents from Pfizer, again, pursuant to the court order. On April 1st, they released some additional documents. And in that batch of additional documents, the same document that I just referred to earlier was reissued. And this is what my second article is about. It was reissued, and it even says reissued. It's the same document, but it's been reissued. Now, what's the difference between the reissued document in April 1st of 2022 and the same document that was issued a month earlier in March of 2022? And the difference is this. In the March of 2022 document, they redacted. Pfizer redacted, or the FDA redacted. Somebody redacted certain information on page 6 of that document. So I noticed that it said reissued on the April 1st trans or batch of documents that the FDA released. It said reissued, made me curious. So I compared the April 1st document, which looks like it's identical, but it's not, with the March of 2022 document. And what I found was, and anybody can find this, is that the April 1st, 2022 document had unredacted. The information that was deleted in March was not deleted in April. And what is that information? And this is what the second article is about. That information is that for some reason, Pfizer and the FDA did not want you to know earlier that Pfizer had hired, beginning in February of 2021, was going to begin hiring 600 additional full-time employees to begin evaluating and processing the adverse events that were being reported to Pfizer. And this document goes on to say that that's the first launch, 600 more full-time employees, and that by June of 2021, Pfizer was advising the regulatory agencies, you're abroad and in Europe and in the United States, that they were going to hire another 1,800 full-time employees for a total of 2,400 full-time employees. Additionally, in addition to whatever number they had already on board, they're going to hire 2,400 more by the end of June of 2021 to handle, process these adverse events that have been coming to the attention or were known to Pfizer and the regulatory agencies from roughly December of 2020 through the end of February 2021. They had so many adverse events, hire 2,400 more people to deal with it. To me, that's an important point. That's important information that the public should know. Pfizer knew it, FDA knew it, regulatory agents knew it. Why did we not know it? Why did they redact it? These are questions. I don't have answers yet, but why did they redact it? But I think that's important. Because what I think it goes to is informed consent. What do they know, these manufacturers, Pfizer, Moderna, others, what did they know? Why did they disclose it? Is it important information? Would it have caused people, but people who took this product maybe would not have taken this product had they known about this. And I think they had a right to know about this. It was important information that goes to informed consent.
So with all of that, obviously this is like super important information that's coming out now. With the lack of providing informed consent, with them, hiding all these adverse events and hiring all these people to process all the paperwork because there are so many. From your general perspective, do you think that that is actionable for people like us who are doing research, or people who have been affected by it? Is it actionable for them to say press charges or challenge Pfizer in that way to hold them accountable?
The short answer is yes, I believe it is. I think the longer answer would involve actually digging down deeper, drilling down deeper, and you would also have to take into account the specific laws of the jurisdiction in which anybody is in. But as a general proposition, the law across the United States is pretty uniform when it comes to disclosure. Consumer protection laws, there's federal consumer protection laws, or state consumer protection laws. These laws go to not just automobiles and banking and products such as chairs and tents or whatever. They also covers drugs, pharmacological type things. So it encompasses drugs. And so when you get into that area, you're getting into a kind of a very, very important consumer protection area. So the short answer is yes, I believe that these are actionable. The longer answer is you'd have to look into these things. You'd have to have a particular client or clients who come to you with a particular set of facts that you then analyze in relation to the law, so that you know whether, in light of these facts, is there a cause of action here? And I would say a big chunk of this cause of action under consumer protection laws, unfair trade practices acts, duty to disclose, fraud, kind of broad sense is fraud. When you have a duty to disclose something and you do not, or if you intentionally lie to people, you tell people, hey, here's what you can expect to happen to you if you take this product. But when you said that, you knew that there was a slew of another 900 to 1,000 things that could happen to you if you take this product. So you can commit fraud or deceit by stating something that you know is false, or you can commit fraud and deceit, and additionally or otherwise by failing to disclose something that you have a duty to disclose to people under all of the circumstances. And I think that we've probably got both going on here with Pfizer. Mm-hmm. I'm going to just talk about Pfizer because those are the documents that I've seen. I understand similar things are going on with other manufacturers. So yes, I think these are actionable, but again, you have to have a client, you have to look at the facts of each case. You've got to know the laws of the jurisdiction in which you are or where you are practicing to determine whether there's something to go on here. And another aspect of litigation or fraud is not only that did somebody lie to you or deceive you in some way, you have to have relied on that as well. And I think we've got that clearly across the board of anybody who took these products. And you have to be injured as a result of having relied on somebody's misstatement of fact or failure to disclose. And everything has to be connected. So your reliance has to be reasonable, you have to be injured, and your injury has to be as a result of, in this case, Pfizer not disclosing to you what the real risks are of this product, and even affirmatively disclosing to you only a small portion of things that most people would be willing to run the risk of, to protect themselves from what they've been told is a life-threatening disease, which is itself questionable.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that clarification. Is there anything else as things continue to progress and you're uncovering new things with other volunteers with the Pfizer documents? Is there anything that you want the audience to be aware of moving forward? Any resources that they can kind of go to find out more information about this?
Yeah, I believe there's plenty of resources out there, and I really think it is incumbent upon each and every one of us to take responsibility for ourselves. I mean, I know people who spent more time vetting the purchase of an automobile or a used car or anything like that, or a TV set, hours, and then rejecting something because it wasn't quite right, than they did taking this product. They just, the government they relied upon the government, big business. They tell them, okay, this is serious, you need to take this product, and they just did it. I think that's something that we all have to stop doing. We have to realize that we're not being told the truth about many, many things. And I believe we're not being told the truth about the Pfizer and Moderna and other products. So what I think people should do is start educating yourselves. Don't just believe what you're being told. You can go online and find this information. You can spend as much time on this or more time on this as you would on an automobile or any other product, and you owe it to yourself to do that, especially if you have children and you're thinking about giving this product to your children. Educate yourself, educate yourself. Yeah, and if you think you've been injured by this, reach out to a local lawyer in your area and see if you can find an attorney who will represent you. And then they go to Daily Clout. I mean, there's others out there. A lot of people, we're not the only ones doing this. Daily Clout's been right out there. Naomi Wolf, yourself, Steve Bannon, people like this talking about it. There's doctors everywhere in this country and everywhere. Listen to them. Listen to those people. Get online. Study this stuff. Just don't believe what you're being told about these things. I hope I'm answering your question, but I mean, in a broad sense, just take responsibility, personal responsibility, especially for something as important and dire as this is.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Mr. Looney, for taking the time to talk with me today and help inform people about this on Daily Clout.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah, we really appreciate it.
No, it's been my pleasure, and I really appreciate what you're doing and everybody over there at Daily Clout. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
And it's Naomi Wolf of Daily Clout, and I am asking you to please, if you like the video you just saw, support us, become a member, donate. You can send checks to P.O. Box 24, Millerton, New York, 12546, or go to Daily Clout, DAILYCLOUT, become a member or donate. Thank you so much for your support. Every penny goes for paying our hardworking staff, paying hosting costs, and paying our lawyers who have been leading the fight to keep you safe and free, to keep the Constitution safe and to keep you free. Thank you so much.